Okay, welcome back. This video is going to be about installing the horizontal stabilizer, gluing it in. I decided not to put in the cabin servos yet because of the close proximity of it. They have to go in sort of one at a time, and the elevator has to go in first, and then the rudder, then the throttle. So I'm going to go ahead and put the tail feathers on, and then we'll install the cabin servos as we need. Okay, so the wing is on so that we can measure from the wing tip to the aileron tip here and measure how far that is. So what we have to do here is mark a center line, and I've got a 18-inch ruler here, steel ruler with metric on one side. And so the width of the horizontal stabilizer is 433 millimeters. So half of 433 is 216 and a half. So I'm going to mark that right there. Come up here. Hopefully this is the same measurement, and it is. Okay, get it just lined up just right. Okay, and we'll make a mark right there. And that allows us to draw a nice straight center line. I've found when you're drawing center lines like this that the center of the covering, if you sort of go by the designs and drawing, aren't exactly right. So I'd rather measure wood to wood, edge to edge, and not try to go by the covering can be slightly off. Okay, so with that in place, we can go ahead and slide this in. Okay, and now what we want to do is get that square. And in order to determine if it's square or not, I take a 36-inch steel ruler with metric on one side, and I measure from this tip to that tip, and that is 730 millimeters. And then we measure from this tip to this tip, and we get 724. Okay, so that means that, and I'm also checking where the center line hits this piece back here. Let me do a mark on that. So that is 12, 16, 8. I'm going to put a mark right there. Okay, so that means the center line mark here and the center line mark there ought to stay centered, and it is. But that just means I got to hold that centered and slide this way a little bit. And then do my measurement again. Okay, 727 millimeters. And good, 727 millimeters. All right. So let me get a better Sharpie marker than this. I'll be right back. Okay, with a nice new Sharpie marker, I double checked it again and it's exactly where it needs to be, so I'm going to go ahead and draw a line here and draw a line along the back and draw a line here. Okay. And then I'm going to flip the airplane over and draw a line on the other side. Without bumping it too much. Okay, I think that's good. Then we can pull it out. And we've got the shape to cut out right there. We're going to cut that covering off. And I'm even going to cut the covering here, the red covering here, so that we can put epoxy glue all the way around it. Okay, turn the airplane back over. Okay, so cutting this, you have to do it very carefully. Let me get my sharpest X-Acto knife and I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back and I've got my sharpest brand new hobby blade. And the other thing I did was I drew a line inside the line. So there's two lines there and on both sides. And I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch of the covering so that the covering will be held down there a little easier. Doesn't start coming up at all. So actually the glue is going to hold that covering down. So now cutting this covering, you do a very light, I use a steel ruler, and I'm going to cut I'm going to leave the line on the covering, so I'm going to cut just inside the line. And using a steel ruler, you can, what I call, score it. So you go over it 3 or 4 times. So you can sort of hear or feel it cutting the plastic. That's good. Do it the other way. Okay. And then do the third side here. Okay. So 4 or 5 scores is all it takes. Then you use the hobby knife to actually peel that up. Try to get under the covering. There we go. And very carefully pull that up. Sometimes a corner isn't cut as precisely as you want it, and you can use the hobby knife at an extreme angle and start that going. Wait a minute. This end down here didn't get cut very well. There we go. Okay. Okay. It will tear on those score marks. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and cut that off. So it'll tear on those score marks. And so now what I'm going to do the same thing, cut around this, cut on the other side, and I'll be right back. Okay, so the covering is removed on both sides. If you do a very careful job, you can see the lines that I left. I was inside both lines. And so now what I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to take some cotton swabs or some paper towels with some isopropyl alcohol that I use and wipe off those lines and just clean that so those lines won't be visible. So I'll do that and be back in just a minute. Okay, so I've got all the lines removed, cover's in good shape.